and welcome back to my channel. My name is Emmy, and today it is the last video of the Mental Health Awareness Week here on my channel. For those of you who have been watching, thank you so much for sticking around. I appreciate it. I hope that this has helped someone somewhere out there over the rainbow. It's been really nice to talk about these things because, again, I am really passionate about it, and I'm really interested in learning more and really kind of understanding what's happening and why is it happening. So I'm really hoping to be able to bring back these kind of topics and not just make this like a one-off thing. Because although on my channel there's a lot of like beauty related stuff, I do think that there's more to beauty than just, you know, outer paint. But there's also beauty in here. That sounds very cheesy. You know what I mean. Anyways, so to end this week, today's video, what I want to talk about is something that is very, 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 very important when it comes to dealing with mental health, and that is self-care. Taking care of yourself. For those of you who have to deal with any kind of mental health issue, whether you have anxiety, panic, depression, you know, you're bipolar, schizophrenic, it doesn't matter. Whatever it is that you're dealing with, you have to take care of yourself. So I'm just gonna throw out some tips and tricks, things that I do, things that have been told to me by my therapist, things that I've read, things that are a little bit more obvious than others, just to have it out there, and hopefully this will help somebody. So let's go. Okay. The first thing I'm going to say, and it's going to be the most obvious, is get help. Like I've said before, and I will say it again, therapy is the best thing that you can do to help yourself if you're going through any kind of issue. I know that a lot of people get turned off by the idea of therapy. Mainly, I think it's because, one, people are not really don't really have knowledge of what exactly it is that constitutes going to a therapist or a counselor or something like that. People think that you going to therapy means that there's something that is really wrong with you, that you're like completely broken and you're like a crazy person or whatever. That is not the case. I think anybody, regardless of what your brain is going through, can and should go to a therapist, because speaking to someone who doesn't know you and is an unbiased third party can be very relieving. And a lot of people that counsel are there for stuff that is not even like medical. You know, if you need help with like time management, or just like you're someone who just overthinks a lot and you need to kind of organize your brain for better decision making, or you're very stressed with work and you need to decompress and all that stuff, like all those little things are things that a therapist can also take care of. I also know that a lot of people consider therapy to be very expensive, which is very true. Therapy can be expensive, especially if it's not covered by your insurance. But there are a lot of other venues that you can go through. So if you work for a company, a lot of companies have it's not really like well, I don't know if it's associated with the insurance, but a lot of companies have a third party, they have access to like a line that is for mental health. So if you're dealing with a situation, it's like you can call or you can go online and kind of get help by a professional. And I believe that it's covered by the company, or it's something that is like deducted from your paycheck. You know, like there's a payment plan or something. I'm not 100% sure how that works, but for the companies that I've worked for, they all have had that. And That's something that you should look into if you don't really want to come out of pocket or you can't. If you're not working for a company like that, let's say if you're in school, if you're younger, schools and colleges, they have counselors. They have people that are there to talk. Um, there's a lot of churches that also provide free counseling. Of course, when you go to a church, you have to understand that it's going to be a little bit more religious. Like, the conversation is probably going to be very spiritual and all that, but if that's something that you're into, I mean, listen, praying is the same thing as meditating, is one and the same. So, if that's something that is aligned with your belief and you're comfortable with, you can search for counseling in churches. My therapist has told me that there's a lot of like groups and like those AA meetings. A lot of those AA meetings are not necessarily just for people who are addicts. There's a lot of groups that are inside that whole organization that talk about specific things. So like, if you have issues with OCD, if you have issues with PTSD, or you went through something traumatic and you're trying to process it, there's a lot of groups that you can go to of people that have gone through the same thing, and you can talk it out and get counseling from that. And a lot of those things are free. So there's a lot of options. You don't have to pay out of pocket for a really expensive therapist. Another thing I will say also is that only because you go to one therapist and that didn't work out doesn't necessarily mean that therapy is not for you. It's just that you didn't connect with that therapist. You should look into different kind of people and see with who you connect the most, that you can open up to and feel comfortable having a conversation with. Because obviously, if you're going to therapy and you're going to talk about something that is very personal, potentially intimate with someone, you want to make sure that you can connect with them and that you can have a proper conversation. And that might not happen with the first person that you go to. You shouldn't feel discouraged. You shouldn't feel like it's your fault or like that person sucks. I mean, they can. They probably do suck. Who knows? But it could also be that there's just not good chemistry there. And you should have a good chemistry with the person who is going to listen to your issues and potentially help you. So don't give up only because the first person that you went to didn't work out. Try someone else. And yeah, therapy, always good. Okay, so a couple of things that I do, mainly in the moment where I am feeling already like I am going to have an anxiety attack, or I did have an anxiety attack, or just days that I'm just not feeling, those days where you're just like, today is not my day. It's gloomy outside, it's humid and nasty, and everything is dark, and you're just in a bad mood. There's a lot of things that you can do to kind of soothe yourself and feel better. One thing that I struggle with a lot whenever I'm not feeling well is that I can't sleep. A lot of times my sleeping patterns get really messed up. And a lot of times when I get anxiety attacks, I tend to get them at night, especially before I go to bed, because I'm trying to shut down my brain, but my brain is like, no, bitch. This is when the real is really gonna go. So there's a lot of things that I like to do. Again, these are things that have been suggested by my therapist. So I don't want to take any credit, like I'm the one who figured these things out. No, these are things that were told to me and that I do and that worked out for me. First thing is baths. I know not everybody likes baths. I personally don't really have a very comfortable bathtub to do that in, but I still try. But baths with warm water and Epsom salts. Epsom salts are really good. They sell them and they sell them in any drugstore. And they sell the Epsom salts that have like specific scents. So there's one that has lavender scent, and lavender is the best thing to soothe yourself. So, you know, you put some Epsom salts in your bath with warm water. You sit there, you soak for 10 to 15 minutes, and it does really well. Epsom salts has a lot of really good ingredients and qualities and things that it does to your body. I can't think of them right now, but it's really good, I promise. Also, anything that is lavender related, like you can go to Lush and buy like those bath bombs or those bubble bars that are like lavender and vanilla, and you put that in the bath and you soak there, and it's really good. Bath and Body Works has this lavender bath, like it's like a bubble bath thing, but it's lavender scented and it's so good. One thing that you could look into is aromatherapy. Again, these are things that a lot of people are very skeptic about, but there is a reality about your brain reacting to scents. You know, I mean, your scent is one of your senses. So obviously you are going to have a reaction to it. And when you smell things that are soothing and calming, it does help whenever you're feeling a little frazzled, you know? And this is not necessarily just for people who are anxious or panic or anything. If you're feeling there's a day that you're just stressed and you're just over it, you can, if you smell lavender or anything that you find soothing, normally like warm kind of smells are normally the best ones, like vanilla, honeysuckle, lavender. You smell those kind of things and you just breathe it in and breathe it out through your mouth. I mean, it's gonna do you good. It's not gonna hurt you. It's not gonna do anything. You're not ingesting anything. You're just smelling, and it's very calming and relaxing. So I suggest that. Another thing that I also do is breathing exercises. I talked about this. Did I talk about it in another video? Well, I don't know. But one of the things that my therapist has always been very like adamant about is about breathing. And for those of us who have anxiety attacks, that is very important, because one of the things that happens to you, well, at least to me, when I get an anxiety attack, is that I can't breathe properly. I can't catch my breath because my brain is so out of control, is trying to like find its way into like grasping some sort of control. So that's why breathing exercise is very important. So one that she taught me, that my therapist taught me, was to breathe in through my nose, count to 4 as I'm breathing. So, and then hold it for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then release, counting 4. And then hold my breath for 4 seconds. And then do it again and again. So when you do that, she said that the action of holding your breath kind of sends like a message to your brain that something is happening, and it's like, whoa, there's no air, like, you know, there's like a different action that is happening in your body as opposed to the anxiety. So it takes away from the anxiety and it focuses on your breath. But since you are controlling your breath, you're not going to panic about it. You're going to gain control. So you do that a couple of times. Breathe in, count 4, hold for 4, breathe out 4, and hold your breath for 4 seconds. So you're going to hold your breath twice. Once you inhale and once you exhale. And try to like release as much air as possible, and then inhale back as much air as possible. So that you can feel like your lungs expanding. I mean, to me, I find that to be the most satisfying part, when I can completely take a breath in and then let it out. Like that part right there just makes everything feel so much better. Like if I'm feeling that I'm going to have some anxiety, you know, it feels, that's the best part. So breathing. You can also, even right here on YouTube, you know, type in breathing exercises. There's going to come out hundreds of videos of people giving you different kind of breath exercises. And you don't have to worry if they say like for a specific thing. like breathing for yoga or breathing for whatever. It doesn't matter. The exercise itself is what's going to work for you. So you can try whatever technique is better for you. Maybe you want to try one that is not so dramatic so that you can do it like when you're outside, like at work or something. You don't want people to be like, are you okay? Are you choking? So yeah, breathing exercises, very important. Also, another thing that I was told that I have used and has worked is when I am in full panic mode and my brain is going 1,000 miles per hour and I'm spiraling out of control. One thing that I do is I take a bag of frozen vegetables and I apply it to my head. And I mean, that one, frozen vegetables is like the most comfortable thing, but anything that's cold to the point of like frozen, you put it on your forehead. And essentially what you're doing, the point is that you want to distract your brain from panicking, from whatever it is that is causing the panic, and make it focus on something else. That's why a lot of people do, like, they pinch themselves. A lot of people, like, they do things to kind of hurt themselves so that the thought goes somewhere else. You don't want to hurt yourself. You just want to make sure that you distract your brain from the panicky thoughts and bring it to something else. So that has saved me countless times. There's been so many times where I'm like, you know, just out of control, and I put that cold bag of vegetables right there in my forehead, and it hurts because it's frozen, but that pain makes everything else go away because your whole body is now focused on the fact that there's something frozen on your forehead and it hurts. So that's an excellent tip for those of you who, you know, if you're panicking or you're spiraling, you're feeling like your brain is just going somewhere that it shouldn't, slap something frozen in your forehead. Also, I feel like a lot of people tend to feel guilty from doing things to make themselves feel better. Obviously, there's a lot of things that you can do. I mean, everybody is very different on how they react to things. I can't say that enough. But the reality is that if you are feeling bad, if you're not feeling well, you shouldn't feel guilty about making yourself feel well because, you know, you're the only one who is feeling this way. Like, nobody that really cares for you or loves you or wants to see you better is going to make you feel bad for wanting to do something for yourself. So you shouldn't feel guilty about asking for some time alone. You know, if you're an introvert, you know, we need time alone to replenish our energy. You know, whenever you're out and about in the world, working or socializing or whatever, your energy is just being drained out of you. And you need to recharge that energy so you can do life. So you shouldn't feel guilty about asking for some time alone. You know, going into your room, reading a book, listening to a podcast. You can listen to some apps that have guided meditation like Headspace and Calm. I like Headspace because Headspace has a really good meditations that are free. Like, you don't have to buy the other packs of meditation unless you really want to, but the free ones are really great. I think for Calm, you have to buy to get the app. I'm not sure. But there's a lot of great guided meditation kind of apps, or even on YouTube, you can find a lot of those videos. And just give yourself a minute to just decompress, and don't feel guilty about it because, like I said, nobody is going to make you feel bad about doing that. And if they do, then fuck them. You don't want those people in your life. Also, don't be afraid to take a day for yourself. You know, go get yourself a mani-pedi. Go get your hair washed. Go get a massage. Go walking in the park. I say that, but I don't go outside ever. But, you know, if you're into that, like, if you like walking, then do it. Like, and if you want to do it alone, then, you know, if you're with someone, like, if you're with your partner or whatever, you should be able to say, hey, you know, I just want to go outside and get some fresh air. I'm not really feeling all that. I just need some time alone. And they shouldn't take that personal, you know, they shouldn't take it as like, oh, I don't want to be with you. It's not about that. It's about that you just need some time to replenish your energy. So don't feel guilty of doing that, and don't allow people to make you feel guilty for that, because that's fucked up. People shouldn't make you feel guilty about that. Some things that are really good as well is reading. Now, I know that a lot of people have like this thing against like self-help books and everything. I was definitely one of those. I mean, when I was younger, I used to read all these books that now they're like memes, because it's so ridiculous how like overly enthusiastic and optimistic they were, but it was not even realistic. It was like all this mumbo jumbo of like, believe in yourself, you can do it, everything is okay. And it's like, no, like, you don't want to hear that shit. But there's a lot of really great literature out there, I believe, nowadays, that it is in the vein of self-help, but it's not one of those books that is constantly bombarding you with just all these empty, optimistic words of like, be happy. It's like, okay, like, yes, I know that I should be happy, but I'm not. So what now? You know, one book that I was recommended by my therapist, which I haven't started reading because I'm a terrible person, but the thing is that reading, I like to read, I really do, but because of the fact that it's difficult for me to focus, reading is a little bit difficult for me, because I lose focus and I lose interest very quickly. So what I opted to doing now is like audiobooks and podcasts and that sort of thing that I like to do. So, you know, there's a lot of YouTubers that have a lot of codes for like free Audible and stuff like that. So you should definitely check that out if you want to. So one book that I was recommended was The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, a counterintuitive approach to living a good life by Mark Manson. I've heard a lot of great things about this book. It is, I guess it's meant to be like a self-help book, but, well, it's a self-help guide. That's how they call it. And it's supposed to help you deal with those perfection complexes, self-hatred, the blame game, and other mental traps. I mean, all those things sound like things that I go through. So that book is really good. I find that a lot of people really like reading autobiographies of other people. That can be also really helpful, because it might help you not only understand what someone who is now successful or whatever went through to get there, but also maybe if you read a story of someone who dealt with a mental health issue and how they deal with it, it can, you know, give you tips and inspire you. Another thing that was that was suggested by my therapist was also changing the conversation that you have with yourself in your mind. You know, if you're always telling yourself that you're not good at something, or that you're not good enough for whatever, good enough, you are good enough. Just change that conversation in your head into a positive, and just say that you are good, and then eventually you will believe it. You know, fake it till you make it. Fake it till you make it is a great way to approach things, because you can trick your mind into believing something even if it's not necessarily true. But when it comes to yourself, it is true. You are worthy. You are good enough to do whatever it is that you want to do. You just have to change that conversation within yourself. So you can create daily affirmations, like writing positive things and like post-its and that sort of thing, and put it wherever it's visible for you. And it's just a gentle reminder that you can give yourself every day that whatever negative thing is it that your head is telling you, it's not true, because the affirmation there, you wrote it yourself, so you know that you have to believe that thing. So that's really good as well. So if anyone has any other tips about self-help, self-care, things that you can do to improve your day-to-day and make yourself feel a little bit better after not feeling so hot, please leave it in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching this week. I hope it helps somebody out there. It's been really good for me to talk about these things, and now I just have to listen to my own advice, which is always difficult. So yeah, thank you guys so much for coming with me through this journey, and I hope to see you again very soon.